up, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. It's Saturday. We're breaking down this main slate, the one that starts at, I believe, 4:05 Eastern, 2 o'clock my time. AP, we're talking some MLB today, and it's a nice little 9-game slate. Of course, we'll have MMA winners later on for you over here at Run Pure Sports. We got NBA Summer League going on. We got it all. So how is it going, and how is your Saturday, AP?
Yeah, it's going really well. If you're not a member, you definitely should be. We all crushed it, I think, on that show yesterday, really on point. And make sure on Fridays you tune in. It's members only, 6-man booth we had rolling out. Man, the takes were good. Title did a good job hosting. Not easy hosting that type of show. I know I wouldn't want to do it. I'm sure you would crush it though, man, going. But yeah, it was a fun night. Like I think in the $88 20K up top, I think so the top 3 were Run Pure Sports people. Trez, I think was his name, beat me out. I ended up getting 3rd. But then we had like the 7th spot, 9th spot. I mean, it was just an absolute printer. The Yanks got it done. I know you were high on them, man, going. That was a great call. The Braves, kind of 2 obvious spots, but they got it done. And then pitching was key too. So and today the slate sets up pretty nicely as well.
Yep, sets up as a nice slate. Yesterday was a good one, definitely for the Run Pure Sports members. Pitching was awesome too. It was fun to talk about that and break it all down. We had DC who won 50K recently, so lots of winners moving and going along here over here at Run Pure Sports. But we got to dive in. We're going to talk about this MLB main slate. If you could, please subscribe to this channel. Helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure Sports. We appreciate it. Yeah, we're giving out the winners for the 4:05 slate. So that's the slate that we'll be breaking down here for you guys. We'll obviously have the playbook for the other slates. We'll got playbook for this one, core plays. We got it all over here for you guys. So be sure to check out all the content. And if you want, use that code RPSE25, get you 25% off your first payment. But AP, let's dive in. Let's talk about these pitchers, because this is one of those slates. You open up the slate and you see Brandon Woodruff at the top against the Pirates. It's like, okay, like he's probably on the winning lineup, right? I mean, I just think he could even be a lock button candidate today. Yes, there are some other decent pitchers on this slate. Framber Valdez, you can make an argument for against Oakland. Really good spot for him. But you could just lock both of them and just call it a day. Or maybe you mix in some of these other options. Maybe it's Kyle Wright against Washington. We know Washington is not a great team. Maybe it's Martin Perez, who's been a lot better this year, going up against Minnesota. Could be Tristan McKenzie, who could take advantage of Kansas City, but he does have a fly ball problem, and sometimes he can get hit up a bit. And then there's some other options at the bottom, like Patrick Sandoval against Baltimore. That's not a bad spot. He can easily have a good game for the price tag of 7.4K, and maybe it helps you jam in some bigger bats. And then maybe it's Carlos Carrasco against Miami. That's another pretty interesting option. Miami can't hit anything, and Carrasco has had a pretty solid season, and he can easily be the guy that gets it done, especially if you need some more expensive bats on this slate. So AP, is it just simple Woodruff and Valdez, or are you looking to just grab one of those guys and then move down to some of these cheaper pitchers? What's your thoughts here on the SP position?
Yeah, good question. The thing about, so pitcher has been somewhat volatile throughout the entire season, if you're looking at it, but there are a small handful of pitchers that I just lock no matter what. McClanahan, Cole, like those type. Brandon Woodruff for me fits that mold as well, especially in a matchup here against the Pirates. I mean, Woodruff, especially like on the season, he's having an incredible season, but especially over his last 30 days too, he's been even better. Like his xFIP is just insane. It's like 1.25 or something like that. Really strong strikeout rate. I mean, all the numbers are ridiculous. When we get a matchup here against the Pirates, they have some sneaky power throughout this lineup, but it's not concerning at all for me. So Woodruff is like clearly my favorite pitcher, SP1, if you want to call it that. I'd say now I'd play a little bit more aggressive than most, but if I was playing 150 on the slate, I'm not. I would probably lock him in. Kind of like last night, we took some big stands on pitching. I think here you lock him in, you're automatically going to be overweight the field because not everyone's going to be locking him in. He's going to be very popular, but that's probably what my approach would be. So like it's going to be another slate where it's just a tight pitcher pool for me. Framber Valdez just clearly like is such a good spot at Oakland, big ballpark, not a good Oakland A's lineup. I know daytime A's it might be a thing, but not here, not in this spot against Framber. Last time I think he saw them, I think he put up like, he pitched a complete game. Did give up 2 hits and 1 earned run, but man, was good for like 37, 36 DraftKings points. Valdez looks good. All the metrics look good that I look at, coming into this one, coming off many good starts, against the Mets, a fine one against the Yankees, crushed the A's. I mean, Valdez is just in prime form. I mean, honestly, like if you want to keep things simple, which that's typically how I like to play, lock those 2 guys in and you're going to be fine. Now, if you're a tournament player and you just want to embrace kind of the volatility of baseball, because crazy things happen, we see it all the time. The others I would look at, one, Tristan McKenzie, coming off a nice outing and looked pretty good. I will say, like, against Kansas City, I think he's faced them like 7 times throughout his young career. He's absolutely dusted them a few times, but the last 2 times he's faced them, the Royals have gotten to him. I still give the advantage to McKenzie here. There is risks that come with it. He's a guy that throws like an average 4-seam, and he what's nasty is his curve and his slider. I mean, that's where he's going to get his strikeouts. And so looking at the Royals, like he's going to absolutely, mow the bottom of the lineup. But Benintendi's been hitting better. Witt's finally hitting better. And then Bobby Witt is just a machine, and same with Melendez. So the top of the order there does concern me a little bit. But if I was playing 150 and I wanted to veer off of my SP2, I would have Tristan McKenzie in my pool. And then I would look at the other one I thought was interesting was Patrick Sandoval. Just if you need a cheap punt, he's got a decent K prop, decent projection on our end, but there are some concerns there. He does get hit hard by right-handers, and depending on what the Orioles roll out there for their lineup, I really like how Mountcastle, Hayes, and Santander profile against him, and Rushman's been hitting good too. And the same with like Cedric Mullins. So like, I don't think it's a safe spot at all. So like my kind of to wrap up pitching for me, it's pretty simple here. I'm only rolling out 1 to 3 main lineups today. And I'm probably just going to lock Woodruff and Valdez.
Yeah, well, one argument you can make with the Sandoval thing that you said is, hey, he's a pitcher that he's a lefty. And when you're a lefty in Baltimore, that's helpful because those righties, when they hit you, sometimes the ball dies out there, right? So even though you might have that little bit of an advantage sometimes, that could be a valuable thing for him. But I do kind of agree with you. Like Woodruff Valdez seems like an easy route. And the one reason it seems like an easy route, and it's going to be very popular. Keep in mind, that's going to be out that a lot of people go. But what bats are you dying to play on this slate, right? Are there just like a pile of bats that you just need to jam onto your teams? And that's the reason why I think that pitching route just might be, it's going to be the cash game move. It's going to be a very popular route. And then maybe you just get different with your bats. Because again, there's not a lot of bats to love on this slate. You don't see the Win Cubs game, right? You don't see a Coors game that you're like, I need to have that one. You just don't see a must play spots or like the Dodgers in like a perfect spot. And you have to spend up for all these 5K guys. That just doesn't really exist on this slate. I mean, you do have a pretty good spot that we'll talk about with the Braves and Patrick Corbin, and it's a lefty, so it's a good spot, but we have seen Corbin play well, and there are some weather concerns in that game. So that's something that we can talk about for sure. But overall, it's a pretty good slate. I like the pitchers here. AB, if you were playing 150, you definitely play that tighter core. Would you lock both those guys, or how big of the pool would you make it? Like, give me like your top 5 guys. I think for me, I'd go with like Woodruff and Valdez as my 1 and 2. And then from there, we didn't talk about Hunter Green. I don't mind him. He's a 5.5 strikeout prop, but I still think I would go even cheaper than that. And I think I'd go to like Carrasco. I'd go to maybe Sandoval as like my 3 and 4. And then I'd probably add in, I'm trying to think of who my like 5th. Probably my 5th then would be Kyle Wright, as long as the weather's okay. I know you said you like McKenzie, so maybe he'd fall into place there too. But what's your like top 5 pitchers here on this slate?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like, since I do like to play a little bit more aggressive than most, if I was running 150, I would consider just locking those 2 guys in and then focusing on the different variations in my stacks and what teams I'm targeting. If I were to open it up, it would be one thing I would look at doing is maybe setting like a minimum 75 and maximum 85 of both guys. So I'm going to get a ton of both of them in my lineup. And then I would have Tristan McKenzie, maybe Carlos Carrasco, and Patrick Sandoval as the other three guys in my core, but I would set a max ownership percentage on each of them. So like what I'm getting with that type of pool is a ton of Woodruff and Valdez, like way over the way overweight on the field with them. And then you get McKenzie, Carrasco, and Sandoval, mixed in there. But I'd also set a rule that forced one of Woodruff and Valdez in every single lineup, so that I'm getting the different.
Yeah, I think I agree on that. I would make sure if you don't have both, like if you just want to be unique, some people, they just like to start off with unique routes right away. That's one way you can easily do it. My problem with it is you don't have those bats, like I said, they just like jam in there. But we'll talk about it. We'll break down these bats and see kind of where we get to here on that one. But yeah, again, please guys, like and subscribe to the video. It helps us out a ton over out here at Run Pure Sports. We appreciate it for sure. But let's dive in. Let's talk about this first game that we have here on the DK slate. And I believe the first one up is the Twins and the Rangers. So we'll talk about that. We got Smeltzer against Martin Perez, and I don't really want to pick on Martin Perez. You can always make an argument though. Byron Buxton against a lefty, that would make a lot of sense. This is not a great park. It's 8.5 total. It's in Texas though, which when they have that roof closed, it's more of a pitcher's park. So I'm not dying to play anyone here. And I know Devin Smeltzer's not that great. You could make the argument Marcus Semion's interesting. Maybe at the catcher position, Mitch Garver is an interesting option. Adolis Garcia can always hit one out at 4.6K against a lefty. That seems like a pretty cheap price tag. AP, what are you doing with this game? Because it's 8.5 total, but there's not a lot of high totals on this slate, and I'm not loving this game. How about you?
Yes. I mean, the one thing here is just the park is so bad, something that I know we both agree on, just like in why we don't play or target this team a lot when they're playing at home, in the Rangers. But Devin Smeltzer is not good at all. 5.4 xFIP, gives up a ton of hard contact and fly balls too. So if I were targeting this spot, it would be the power bats. It would be Mitch Garver, obviously a lefty smasher, Adolis Garcia, and then I'd pick one other guy, but I would keep it max 3. And I'd want the target, like maybe, a Marcus Semien or Corey Seager. Keep it all their power bats. The other problem with that though is they're not cheap. And when we just talked about pitching, I mean, if we want those two stud pitchers, it's going to be very difficult to play a Rangers power stack. So the only time I would play them on a slate like this, if I'm playing 150 and if I'm incorporating one of those cheaper pitching options into my lineup. I'm not doing that though, so I will be completely off of this game.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm kind of off this game. If there was an 8.5 total, I'd go to it. Maybe be this Angels and Orioles game, and maybe the Angels side. But I mean, Dean Kramer is not a guy that I'm like looking to pick on for sure. I don't think he's that great, but he's been a little bit better. And Patrick Sandoval, I don't want to pick on him either, right? I just think there's other spots on this slate to go to bat. So I'm not really dying to play anyone from this game. Again, 8.5 total. And there's a lot of low totals on this slate. There's a lot of spots where there's some good pitchers, and then we have like some like really good offenses against some bad pitchers that we'll talk about, especially in this next game. But Angels and Orioles, is this a game that you're looking to go to here, AP?
So, yeah, I talked about how I had interest in Patrick Sandoval if I were opening it up and playing other pitchers outside of the top two. But my one concern there, man, like while the Orioles are striking out more a little bit, like if you look at their season average and then if you look at their last 30 days, a very slight tick up to strikeouts against left-handed pitching. However, man, depending on what the lineup is that they roll out, Mountcastle, Hayes, Santander profile very well. And then when you add in like how well Cedric Mullins is hitting right now, and then Adley Rutschman too. I mean, man, that's kind of what took me off of Sandoval. And I think you could play a little 3-man stack there, or 3-man little, Mountcastle, Hayes, and Santander are kind of my preferred options. The one problem though that I keep running into, if you're building 1 to 3, is, man, you got to take, like, if you go with that stack, you're probably going to be unique because you got 2 outfield players and there's going to be some really elite outfield spots later on in this slate. So I'm looking at them, but I would keep it as an Orioles 3-man if I were to target them. And then think about you can all like Ohtani, like if you can find the salary for him, you can always play him. Mike Trout, Taylor Ward, those guys are the only ones that I like on the Angels. This team is still striking out a ton, but I'm not going to talk anyone off of, playing those big boy bats for sure.
Oh, for sure. And again, with this slate, we have a lot of we don't have a lot of great weather spots too. Like we don't have these perfect spots that's just oh, it's perfect park, 95 degrees. So not a lot of that on this slate. So hitting's going to be a little bit rough. We're obviously going to break it all down. And I like some of the calls in the Orioles, guys. I do think the mini stack makes more sense. I don't think I could get the 5-man stack going, but I think you made some pretty good points there on some of these guys. One thing that can be frustrating with the Orioles sometimes is you can't play Mountcastle and Mancini, right? They're both first base eligible. You talk about the outfield problem as well. Sometimes you have that issue for sure with teams. So I think you brought up some good points there, though. If you guys could, please like and subscribe to this video. It helps out a ton. And if we're going to get out those plays of the day, we got to get those likes moving just because, hey, this show, it's going pretty fast right now. We got a hard stop at 45. So we got to keep this thing moving. And we're obviously going to break it all down. AP, we also have some great comments in the chat. We got Rolo said, AP, your core was hot last night. Tyler says, good battle, AP. So sounds like your core was pretty good. What was the core last night, AP? How about you tell
the people? That my boy, that must be Tyler Zier. That's who shipped the 88, I believe. We're looking for him last night in Discord. So Tyler, make sure you go post that. That was an epic screenshot. Really good lineup that you had. He had Michael Harris. It was a 1v1. He had Michael Harris. I had Ozuna, I believe. And so it was a nice 1v1. And actually, I think it was more than that. But I know that was the difference maker right there.
Well, yeah, Michael Harris is the one guy. I remember when I saw the second home run hit, I was like, he's a must today. I just knew, you knew then you had to have him on your team to win, right? Not to obviously cash.
Yeah, but let me say one thing. It would have been hard to not cash with any of the course. So it wasn't just mine. I was all of them were Yankees and Braves. I mean, the whole team, and you love to see it when that happens. When everyone's on the same page, you absolutely love to see it.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a good day over here at Run Beer Sports for the team. So we saw a lot of screenshots, a lot of logos at the top. So if you want to, right, grab a logo, put it on, get it in the Discord chat, put the logo over on DraftKings. That way you can rep the team. We appreciate it over here. Obviously, want to see all those RPS logos at the top of the leaderboard for sure. So if you haven't signed up and you're in the chat and you want to kind of get those cores, all you got to do is use that code RPS Heater 25 to get 25% off. But let's go and talk about this next game. Astros and Athletics, Zach Lowe, he is definitely not that great. And the Astros, they've been hitting the ball a little bit better. The problem is I don't love this ballpark, right? Don't love playing in Oakland, but wind is blowing out 10 miles an hour and the park plays a little better during the day. So here's a question for you, AP. Are the Astros a team that you want to get on? I mean, we've had some signs that's showing that they're playing a lot better. They might have some value too at the top of the lineup. You could see Diaz up there against the lefty, certainly. I just think this is not a bad spot, but I do hate playing teams in Oakland, right? It's just one of the things I hesitate on. The one argument you can make too is that it's not as bad as this is not a great hitting slate. So maybe you can get away with that today. What's your thoughts here on the Astros here against Logue, AP?
Yeah, based off of the projected lineups that are coming out today, I didn't like second base. It's just a kind of an awkward position. Obviously, that could change if the lineups are different versus they're projected, or if we get. We got the Rays lineup already, which is nice. But what I was getting at is if you play the Astros, which is a fine stat. I don't like the park. But as you said, the wind is blowing out, and this Zach Lowe is not good at all, as Stevie Boyton was talking about in chat. I would absolutely have Jose Altuve in your stacks if you're playing him. I'm not sure if you can make that work with the two pitchers that we want today, but there are some projected cheap bats on the slate too. So if you're fine punting, you could definitely make it work. So one of my decision points on the slate is that second base position. And how I'm seeing things, I might use that position as just a full punt position. We're going to get to some of these other games, but like Buddy Kennedy, if he's rolled out there, one of these other just cheap dudes, if I need a salary saver, I'm going to use that second base spot for that position. And basically, I'm just hoping that Jose Altuve doesn't absolutely crush me, because I do think people are going to try to play him. He's 5'8", so he's going to take up a ton of salary if you do play him, and he's going to, kind of dictate what else you do in your lineups. But if I were to stack the Astros, which, they are a team now I'm looking at, just because this pitcher's bad, their bullpen's terrible too, and the Astros always have an ability to break a slate. Jordan is just an absolute beast. Bregman's actually hitting better. Now, the second I go and play him, you know what's gonna happen when we do that, right? With Alex Bregman, but at least he is hitting better right now. So I wouldn't talk anyone off of stacking this team up. The only thing I would say is play Jose Altuve if you do stack them up.
I think the one thing you brought that out was a really good point is like, if you're not going to play Altuve, punting the position can make a lot of sense. And the reason why I think punting makes a lot of sense on this slate is I'm going to go through the second baseman and like, tell me which guys, like as I go through them, which guys are you dying to play? Like these things are in great spots. Like Altuve against Lowe. You obviously like that. We talked about that. Marcus Semien against Smeltzer in that stadium. I mean, no one's been dying to play Marcus Semien all year. Jorge Polanco against Perez. Typically, we like him against righties, not as much against the other side of the plate. So that's kind of frustrating. Ketel Marte against Kyle Freeland. Like, I mean, it's fine. It's nothing you love. Like, same with Brendan Rodgers. Like, if he gets home run against Madison Bumgarner, am I surprised? No, but I'm not. It's not like a can't miss play that I need to jam on my teams. The point I'm getting at is I think that at second base, you could easily punt the position and feel like you haven't gotten burned today. So definitely think that it's a good point by you to punt that position possibly. Maybe do that as like a one-off and like a 5-2-1 stack to help make your teams work. Definitely think that's a very viable route here on this slate. But we can shift on over to the next game and we can talk about the Brewers and the Pirates. And the Pirates are always a team that we are willing to target, especially when they're out of Pittsburgh. They're in Milwaukee. Not a great park, though. Or I should say it's not a great park. It's more of like a middle park. Sometimes you feel like it could be a hitter's park. It always depends on the slate. Depends if the roof is open as well. 7.5 total. And I do think these Brewers against Thompson are in play, but I'm not dying to play them, right? I mean, Willie Adames, we talked about on the show last night, 5.8K. Now he's 6K. Rowdy Tellez, he's 5.6, but he deserves it. Yelich, 5.9K. The bottom of the order is a little cheaper, though. Jace Peterson, we've loved playing here at Run Pure Sports. He's 3.2K. Seems like a pretty good value play for sure that you can get in there. AP, overall, are these Brewers price tags worth paying for on this slate, or are you just kind of fading this game and looking at some other offenses?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like DraftKings is kind of asleep at the wheel as far as pricing goes, which is nothing new. For the people that are grinding day to day like us, we see it all the time. And, Stevie Boyd and I were talking in chat, he liked the Brewers cheapies, which I agree. You could play Jace, you could play Urias, Colton Wong, that second base position. I have him kind of as a top option there. Just because he mashes these right-handers and Zach Thompson isn't good at all. The problem, though, is like, man, I don't want to pay 5.6 for Rowdy Tellez, 6K for Willie Adames, 5.9 for Christian Yelich. When we have, the Rays and the Braves in really good spots, I'd just rather go there in better hitting parks. But, as far as like a cheap stack, yeah, I think it's one I would consider. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I might get to Wong as like a one-off, but I feel like he could end up being a popular one-off too. So I'm kind of deciding if that's the route I even want to go. If if I'm doing a one-off, I like to get some leverage there. I don't want to play the chalk one-off in my lineup.
Yeah, no, I think you're bringing up good points there. You don't want to play that chalk one off. And like, I think some of these Brewers, they're in play, but like, I'm not jamming them in, right? Like, I think if you happen to have the salary to make like a nice 3-man work of Rowdy Tellez, Jace Peterson, and like, I don't know, like maybe it's Luis Urias, maybe it's like if you have the money for Yelich, but it just might be difficult for sure on this slate. So I don't think it's going to fit my or AP's construction that much. So I think we can move on to the next game. We talk about those Guardians and the Royals, and the Guardians get a really good spot. They're against Heasley, but Jose Ramirez has not been good as of late, right? He has definitely had his struggles. Hasn't seen a double-digit game since what? I think May. Is that May 20th? No, it's June 25th. June 25th. So that's been a little bit of time for Jose Ramirez. Overall, I want to play some Guardians because I think Heasley's bad. They have some good price tags, but I don't know if I can get behind that full 5-man. Maybe it's better for like a 3-man stack on this slate just because of the value that it can provide. Like if you play a cheap catcher on their team, right, that kind of helps make some things work. And then you have like a Naylor and like a Franmil Reyes, like it could work out perfectly fine. Maybe it's like a Quantum and Rosario and you skip Jose Ramirez and go like Naylor. I think there's definitely routes where the Guardians can make a lot of sense. Also, don't think Tristan McKenzie's that great. I know you talked a little bit about pitcher, but he is a fly ball guy, and I know you like to wave that Royals flag a bit. So are you running around with the Royals flag today, AP, or are you just looking at some Guardians instead? What's kind of your overall thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like McKenzie, man, he's just like, he can look like super good. Like he just did against the Yankees. And then when he just leans on only his four seam, he gets in trouble. Like when he's not mixing in the other pitches, and when those aren't going, like, man, he gets himself into trouble. We've seen it, multiple 3-run bomb games given up. I think 2 or 3, or once or twice at least this year. But the park's big here. Like the Royals have been hurtful more often than not. And I will say Whit Merrifield is hitting better right now. The top of the order looks decent. The pricing isn't too bad. I could get on board with like a 3-man Royals stack, but I don't love it at all. I think I'm probably going to end up just fading this game if I can. And then on the Guardians side, just looking at that third base position too, there's not like a ton. I mean, we have Austin Riley, who's going to be popular, but I hope Jose Ramirez gets some ownership. He's just not hitting very good right now, and it always seems like he does. Sure, he could absolutely kill me, but I'm going to keep riding this whole cold streak that he's on, so I won't be playing Ramirez, and I'll probably be off of the Guardians here.
All right. Yeah, no, I understand if you want to play the Guardians, like the value of them, like Stephen Kwan at 3.5, Josh Naylor 4.2, Fernando Reyes 3.2. They're definitely not bad. I agree on the 5-man. I don't think I'm going to be on them. I do really think, though, this like 3-man's interesting. So I'll look to get exposure, but one thing to talk about the Guardians, even on these like 9-game slates, sometimes they pop up. Sometimes out of nowhere, they're just like, they pop so much on teams, and like out of nowhere, they have a lot of ownership. So they could be a really good fade at that point. So look at the projections, see what they're doing. Look what's going on over at SaberSim. That definitely helps kind of gauge ownership a lot. AP, how about you talk about that real quick? I know we have a show, SaberSim show, but how do you use projections like to gauge ownership sometimes? I think sometimes people just look at totals, but sometimes you need to like run the opto, and like if you play a lot of Valdez, right? Let's say you play a lot of Woodruff. Let's say it's the most popular combo. A cheap combination of bats is going to be what comes into the optimizer, right? It's just not simply going to be all the expensive bats, which could keep the Braves ownership down lower than we might expect. I don't know for sure, but that's the point I'm getting at. So talk about that a little bit with the optimizer, how you kind of use projections in that way.
Yeah, so like with Saber, it's awesome. They got that team total function at the top. I honestly just do that. Like the spots I like, I bump them up. The spots I don't like, I bump them down. And then I see what the projection gives me. I don't stop there though. I look at the builds, and if it doesn't align with kind of what I'm thinking, or if I'm not seeing the builds that I like, I'll go and make some more manual adjustments. But then I'll just redo that process, and then I'll just look at all the builds that come up, and I'll kind of select the ones that I like.
Yep, agree with you on all of that. Let's move on over to the next game, and I think you're going to have some interest in this one. Want to get your takes on this. We got a 9 total here. It's in Cincinnati. Not great weather, but it is called Great American Small Park for a reason, because it's a park that we can get a lot of runs at. You got the Rays going against Hunter Green. Definitely a good spot for these Rays. I like them a lot. Their lineup's already out. Josh Lowe in the 1 hole at 2.3K. Wander Franco, 4.6. Harold Ramirez in the 3 hole, 3.2. G-Man Choi, 3.7. Randy Arozarena, 5K. Paredes, 4.4. Kiermaier, 2.3, who's a nice little guy at the bottom of the order that gives you some value. I like him as a little bit of a option to make your stack a little different. Taylor Wells down there at 2.3, and then Francisco Mejia at 3.1. So pretty good lineup here. They have a pretty good total. And Hunter Green, he has a nice strikeout prop, but he can have some problems there. And if those strikeouts aren't hitting, right, and that heat's not going, it's just going to be some meatballs across the plate. And it's a smaller park for the Rays. I really like them in this spot, AP. How about you? What are you doing with this team and the Reds?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it like his slider sometimes. He just leaves it right over the plate and just serves it up to these guys. And then, his four seam, he does have like one of the higher velocities in the league, like hovering right on average, like over 98 miles an hour. I mean, it's really impressive, but he's going to take some time. I think he's going to continue. Like he could be good. I just think, right now he's just going to continue to give up bombs like we continue to see, especially in this park. And so I absolutely love a Tampa Bay Rays stack here. And look, they were very friendly to us. I think it was the first lineup out. That's good mojo right there. So I'm going to hop on board. I love a 5-man Rays stack here. The decision for me, and this is going to be probably chalky, but look, like you can always get different with the bats. Chalk does hit sometimes, but you can always find a way to get different. But man, I love a 5-man Rays stack here. I'm going to be kind of deciding between Braves and Rays. Like either route is fine. I think the Rays are going to be a little bit easier to fit into your lineup. one thing that you could do too. So I was talking about the outfield position. One thing that might be unique on this slate, take your outfielders and use all three with one team. So like go the Rays. Not a lot of people do that. They always like to have maybe two from their stack, and then make sure their last position, make sure they have, one outfielder from another team. Like looking at the Braves, maybe it's Milo Harris, who was an absolute beast last night, or Ronald Acuna, or Ozuna, for example. But with this Rays lineup, like we got Josh Lowe, leading off, and then you got Kiermaier. Always like him against righties. You got Harold Ramirez. And then Randy Arozarena, who's just an absolute stud. So, you got four awesome options here to pick from. I think what I might do on the slate is just load up with all my outfielders being from the Rays, and 5-man stack them up. And hopefully that makes me somewhat unique on the slate. But the Rays, definitely one of my favorite stacks tonight. I'll be very overweight on them.
Oh, yeah. For good reason. I think they're in a really good spot here. Definitely like them. And I like the value that they provide for your lineups. I guess Framber Valdez helps you add in Framber Valdez, helps you put in Brandon Woodruff. Overall, I think the Rays are in a really good spot. I do want to talk about this next game. I think this one's a pretty good one, too, that we need to discuss. And I want to get your take on. But before we do that, guys, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure Sports. Also want to talk about, we got Underdog. We got a code over there. Use that code Run Pure if you're doing some Underdog drafts. Go sign up, use that code RUNPURE. You get a $100 match deposit bonus whenever you deposit. So use that. Also want to mention, if you are going to sign up for Run Pure Sports and check out the MMA content that we have today, we got NASCAR content. We got, what else we got today? We got it all. We got tennis. We got League of Legends. We got Golf Showdown. If you're going to check it all out, be sure to use that code RPSHeater25. Gets you 25% off your first payment. But AP, next game up, it's a 9 total, and we don't see always a 9 total in this park because Arizona always got that roof closed, right? That's the frustrating thing. But Kyle Freeland and Madison Bumgarner, I do not expect them to be dealing on the mound. And if you do play the Diamondbacks, when do you play them? You play them when they get a lefty. If you play the Rockies, when do you play them? Typically when they're in cores, but the only time you're going to really play them out of cores is if they are against the lefty. And Madison Bumgarner is not a great lefty. So you have a lot of guys at the top of the lineup that can hit him well, like Connor Joe, Chris Bryant, CJ Cron, Brandon Rogers, Randall Grichuk up to the 5-hole, who's been starting to hit the ball a lot better. So there's a lot of opportunity here for these Rockies, who I don't think will have any ownership. And I think these Diamondbacks, I think they're not going to be that popular either, in a pretty good spot against Freeland. Even though he's a ground ball guy, I think you can take advantage of him with like a little mini stack. I think like a Christian Walker, maybe a Carson Kelly, and then like a Jordan Luplow, or add in like a Buddy Kennedy as a punt option instead. That way it kind of helps you at second base and helps you get in that big stack and those big pitchers on your team. So what are you doing with this game? It's not typically a sexy game, but I think this is one that we should get some exposure to, AP.
Yeah, Kyle Freeland, when you look at his metrics, you got to account for, all the times he pitches in Coors Field. It kind of inflates the stats a little bit. When he's been on the road, he's been a little bit better. But like this Diamondback, it makes a lot of things work. So Carson Kelly leading off. And then, you got Buddy Kennedy, who, hits lefties pretty good, 2.3K. Then you got Christian Walker, who's been very good against lefties all season long, especially over his last 30 days when you pull the numbers up. So what I'm seeing here is, if you're trying to play the Astros, or if you're trying to play all the power from the Braves on this slate, and maybe the Rays are a team that gets steamed up, the way you do it is use the Diamondbacks as your 3-man stack, and then load up on all the power, because those guys are all so cheap. They're lefty mashers, and then you're able to get the high price pitchers too. So that's how I'd play it here. I don't love this park, but I do like the spot. And I'm not going to talk anyone off of stacking up the Rockies. I think it's going to be pretty contrarian. Bumgarner is not good at all. And, that honestly would be a very good tournament route, because they're probably going to go or fly under the radar a little bit. So I could definitely see getting on board, running the Rockies back here, or just a standalone stack, by themselves.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind it. Even like one-offs, right? Like a CJ Cron one-off, like he could easily be the guy. Like, let's say the game ends like 4-2 and he hits like, an RBI double and like a solo home run. That could easily happen on the slate. And I just wouldn't X these guys. I think the Rockies are really good contrarian options on this slate that I definitely be considering. And Bumgarner's numbers, I just want to pull them up real quick. This season, they're not good. Last 30 days, they're not great either. So definitely a guy that I think we could take advantage of and pick on. So like that there in this spot. But let's go on over to the next game. We got how many left? We got 2 games left on this slate. We won't break down the main slate though. If you do want the other stuff from like that late slate at night, we'll have the playbook, we'll have the core plays, we'll have it all for you guys. So be sure to sign up over at Run Pure Sports and get that. But we have to talk about this next game. We have to talk about the Mets and the Marlins, because Braxton Garrett, he's a guy that DC, our boy, he's been crushing it here lately. 150K recently. He liked himself some Braxton Garrett, one of those slates. I think it was against the Rockies in Miami. Now Braxton Garrett is pitching in New York. Carlos Carrasco as well. It's a 7.5 total. And I'm not dying to play these guys, but I think an argument you can make is the Mets are going to be very contrarian on this slate. And the Mets have been hitting really well this year. And I'm not trying to pick on Braxton Garrett, but if you are looking for like a 5% on offense, and the Mets, we probably should be putting them in more of that like category of the Braves and like the Dodgers, right? They've just been hitting the ball so well this year. What's your thoughts here on the Mets against Garrett? Are they a contrarian option you can get behind AP, or is it just, hey, why play the Mets when I can just play more Braves and move on?
I mean, yeah, my easy answer is why play the Mets when I can play the Braves or the Rays, or even the Astros and move on. But the Mets have been hitting so well right now. Garrett, not a guy we want to attack at all, but man, he does give up some hard contact. I would look at the power bats here for like in tournaments as a one-off. Or at max, a 3-man stack. I'm looking at like Pete Alonso, Lindor, Marte. I mean, those type of guys.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's a really, really, really good spot here to just get them low owned, right? Like, right. For instance, if one of them, like, and this could be an argument too to be made. I don't know what the weather situation is yet, but like, let's say that Braves game is dicey, right? And like people stay on it, like, and it ends up not playing. Like, I'm trying to see what like the take is on it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see obviously how it breaks down. But I think the Mets, they're a contrarian option that I think you can go to today as a 5-man. If I did it, I think I like it more as that 5-man. You're just loading up and hoping they kind of get to them and they get to that bullpen and they just get going there. So
Mangone, that's your buddy Joe's team, right?
Yeah, we're both Mets fans, but he's
okay. He must
like
be
a diehard. Like,
oh, I know. I remember
ridiculous.
Last year it was like talking him off the roof, and then now it must be the exact opposite. I mean, he must be just going nuts with how they're sitting right now.
Oh yeah, he loves going to the games. We were supposed to, before I got COVID, we were supposed to go to a game out here and watch him against the Rockies when he was out here. But nice. It was frustrating we couldn't go. But yeah, the Mets. I've been a Mets fan all my life, and they've been obviously it's really like easy by now to like not be like watching them or even caring, right? Even when DFS wasn't around. So he's pretty excited about him. I am excited for the postseason to come because we don't get to see that too often. And the Mets are going to compete, man. DeGrom's going to be back soon. Like Scherzer's going to be there. Like we're going to be playing these guys in the postseason. And I don't think anyone like realizes how good of an offense they are. And I think it's part of it is because of the park they play in too.
Right. Know? Yep. Agree 100%.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. There'll be a team that we're going to be really keeping our eye on during the postseason when we got BigT out there, working on some showdown player pools, right? We're playing those relievers, and hopefully I know they fixed the relievers later in the year and they made it not as favorable for the salaries, but hopefully we can get some good showdown baseball stuff going for the people once that playoffs come around, because that was a printer last year. So
that was a printer. No one plays the pitchers. I mean, that was an absolute printer.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely awesome. I think I saw someone the other day on a Sunday Night Baseball one. They played a reliever that was like, 3% owned that absolutely crushed for him. It was like the reason they got the job done. So definitely got people in the Discord still kind of talking Showdown too. So if you're into playing some Showdown MLB, Run Pure Sports Discord, that is the place to be. But AP, we got a little bit of time left and we got one game to talk about, and we'll probably be on it for a little while because we like the Braves here, I'm sure. I don't think we're attacking Kyle Wright by any means, but Patrick Corbin is a guy you can attack. And listen, it's the Braves and they're against a lefty, and we know people are going to be on them. I assume they're going to be a lot of the cores, especially after last night. They won a ton of people money, and some people, they say, oh, I missed out yesterday, I need to get on them. So do you think this offense is just going to be like insanely owned where there's some merit to not playing them today? Or do you just play them 1 through 9 because that lineup is so loaded and there's value everywhere and you just kind of move on with the slate? What's your overall thoughts here on it, AP?
Yeah, we talked about it on the show last night. The great thing about the Braves is you can stack them up like however you want. I mean, Michael Harris broke the slate last night. I was on him a lot, but I didn't have him in my top lineup. But that's what shipped a lot of the contests yesterday. So that's one of the awesome things about this Braves lineup. I mean, they're just so good. Keep an eye on who's going to be out there. You can play either one of the catchers. You can play Michael Harris. You can play Riley, Olsen, Swanson, Acuna. Keep an eye on the weather in this game. We do have boots on the ground. I believe Gary is obviously going to a Braves game today. So I bet he'll be in Discord, keeping an eye on the weather. I don't see it being a concern, but it is riskier there in Atlanta when pop-ups do happen. But and also it's starting early too. They could wait out a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm not that concerned when it comes to hitters and targeting him against this spot. Patrick Corbin, a guy we can target. He has you gotta. It was against Pittsburgh and Miami, so take it for what it is. But he pitched 8 innings, 7 innings. It was okay. I mean, against the Pirates, especially 12 Ks. I mean, man, what a performance. But it is Patrick Corbin. He is dust. And this Braves, team is, on fire right now. And obviously they've already broken a ton of slates, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they broke another slate tonight. So tons of interest here in the Braves.
Oh yeah, tons of way to play these guys too. Don't feel like you have to play the 1 through 5, mix and match it, find ways to make it a little bit different. That's definitely what I try to do when I look at these main stacks. Like I talk about a lot when I do my single entry 3 max stuff. I'll be doing it today. I'm sure I'll discuss that. Try to look for ways once you get that lineup out. Someone in the chat said the Braves lineup is dropped. I don't see it yet. So yeah, I'd like to know what it is, but it's probably the usual guys, at least what Richie Smalls is saying. So that's what I kind of expect. Probably got that normal bottom of the order that you typically see. So we'll see how that lineup shakes out here. Also, let's see if Patrick Corbin has any BVP real quick. Patrick Corbin, that's always one I like to look at because he's been pitching the league for a little while, especially against the same team. So there definitely could be something here between these guys, and people love the BVP conversation. I think Orlando Arcia is 5 for 11 with a home run, so that's interesting. Ozuna's got 2 home runs. He's 8 for 30. Nothing fancy there, nothing incredible, but thought that was. Yeah, well, it's always an interesting talking point to see. Sometimes you see some interesting ones, like we saw with the White Sox yesterday a little bit with Timmy Anderson, who I saw on some winning teams is like a 5-2-1, where he got 10 fantasy points, which, again, he didn't break the slate. It was like Michael Harris, but he definitely could be part of the equation on the slates and help you make it different. Like Big T talks about it on FanDuel. Instead of running 4-4 sometimes, if you have this one-off that you really like, maybe just put him in and make it that 4-3-1, where it's going to make you instantly unique in that stack, where sometimes you can do it. Typically 4-4s win on FanDuel, but that is a route where I think sometimes you can take advantage of that. But AP, give me the final thoughts here on the Braves, and then we can go on over and talk about the stacks.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it more, we want higher price pitching. At least I do. I don't necessarily want to punt. So to do that, I'm going to be looking at a Michael Harris. I'm going to be looking at William Contreras, 3.7K. If he's in that lineup, I haven't seen it yet. Michael Harris, 3.3. No one plays him still. It's crazy. This dude is an absolute beast. You can play those cheaper guys at the bottom and then mix in, a Riley or a Swanson or a Acuna. I mean, it's fine. So the Braves absolutely love them. Tampa Bay absolutely love them. Their outfield's loaded. G-Man Choi, love him against righties. Such a great. Think about remember when Big T was playing G-Man Choi against Garrett Cole, just because Cole, he's good fastball hitter against right-handers that throw with a high velocity. That's G-Man Choi against Hunter Green today, and Hunter Green isn't close at all to Cole with overall command over his pitches. So I mean, man, G-Man Choi, nice batting cleanup in this spot against the Reds. And then it's the obvious stacks are the Rays and the Braves. I think the Brewers are a little interesting, tougher to get them in. I think the Astros are a little interesting. And then the cheapies from Arizona, I think, could be the key to unlocking some of these big stacking spots.
Yep, I think you brought up good points there. Mine are Braves, Rays, Astros, and then that one I like that I don't think other people will be on as much. I'm gonna go with the Rockies. I think it's a pretty good spot for them, and you get that nine at bats too, which I always kind of like to get. So that's pretty good as well. So that breaks that down. AP, let's just do plays of the day, and then we're gonna get on out of here. So who you got? Who is your play of the day?
I think I'm gonna go with G-Man Choi. First base there, 3.7, very affordable. I like him in that stack. And don't be surprised if you see an all Rays outfield in my core today. I think that's going to be an interesting way to maybe get unique on the slate. My only fear with doing that is it forces me to fade my boy, or I can't even call him my boy. I think it was Stevie and Gary that discovered this young man well before we did. I just, hopped on the bandwagon, but I'll still call him my boy. But Michael Harris, man, dude's a beast. I'm even playing him over Acuna. I'm taking the savings, and if I'm stacking here, I know we need salary relief. I'm taking him over Acuna Jr. on this slate in my stacks. But I got to go G-Man Choi, my play of the day.
All right, G-Man Choi it is for me. I'm going with a Rocky, and you can make him a one-off, right? I think that's kind of another thing I like about giving him as the play of the day. He's at a tough second base position today, too. It's Brendan Rodgers. He could easily bang one out against Madison Bumgarner. Let's say you're doing a 5-2-1 and you fall second base, you don't know where to go, and you got the salary to get up to 4.4K. Give me Brendan Rodgers. And if you are doing a Rocky stack or a mini stack, make sure to include him in that one. I think he's a really good play. But AP, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Give me the final thoughts, and then let's get on out of here.
Yeah, final thoughts. Keep it simple. Be in Discord. We'll all be in there up to lock. And yeah, I mean, it looks like a fun slate. And then we have all the normal content for the main slate too. So make sure that'll be for premium content members only. Go check out Mangone's 3 max single entry 3 max sheet. That thing is awesome, loaded with goodness, cash chart, projections, and then core plays. I mean, I think we'll have them all dialed in.
Yep, we'll be bringing it all for you today. I know AP's got to go and run do something. I'm going to run, hit the gym real quick, and then come back, and we'll be bringing those winners.
Yeah, hitting the gym. You got Snyder is sending me pictures of his supplement stacks he's taking, and he's trying to put on some weight. I mean, did you bully him up in that little 1v1 match you guys had?
I did a little, I think, but Snyder, I love to see the bounce back. I'm excited for the bounce back.
He's grinding. Yeah, it'll be fun. No, it'll be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm definitely out there grinding. I'm working on it. I can't let Snyder just get too far ahead. You gotta.
I gotta back up my shit talk a little bit, because I haven't played basketball since Big T's the last time I was there, which I wasn't there this most recent time. So, man, if we play, you might end up cooking me, and I might end up eating my words, but we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, either way, it's going to be fun. I'm excited. I've been enjoying playing some hoops, but we got a fun Saturday, and we got the Scottish Open to close it out, right? So be sure to check out that Showdown playbook. We'll have the Showdown show as well, the premium show, but we got to get on out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. For me, Mangone, and AP, we will see you guys later.